Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This past weekend on Saturday, was the 2013 New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Several events took place. Of course, it's a track meet. But let's start with the women's 400. It was early on. A girl by the name of Floyd ran it in 52.5 seconds. She had a strong start. It was she kept the lead early, and not much else to say. First meet of the year, athletes are just kind of looking to get into their rhythm of the times they're looking to get to this year and how far they're going to drop. And yeah, that's just about it. But next was the women's 60-meter dash. A woman by the name of Ahore won that in 7.07. Very respectable. She was kind of slow out of the blocks than the rest of the sprinters, but she had some great acceleration right after her start, and within the first 5 to 25 meters, she really took the lead. For men's pole vault, an American by the name of Scott won with 17 feet 6.5. You don't really get to see much of the of the field events because they take a long time, and well, ESPN. Next was the men's 60-meter dash. A man by the name of Fury won that 6.67. Very good indeed. Not a lot of well-knowns here. They're probably still resting, working with their coaches. But that race was really, really close. Maybe a foot of separation at the line. It was close. Yeah. Next, let's move on to the women's mile. Indoor track that's 200 meters long, 50 on each side, usually banked. Makes distance running really interesting to watch because it takes place over 8 laps instead of 4 on a normal 400-meter outdoor track. And the first thing I noticed, the rabbit was very slow. She had a huge sprinting build, and she ran too slow, and she looked like she had never done this before. It was kind of awkward for the athletes to have to run at that slow pace, and maybe they should try to work and find another person to pace if they're going to be looking for good times this season. This was Viola Lagat's first professional race. That's the sister of Bernard Lagat, great American runner. Lagat, she got boxed in very early in the race, and she kind of stayed there. But she's a very physical runner. Something I noticed. And then this woman by the name of Lakhud, she won the race in 4:39. She was almost caught on the kick. Of course, in these short races that take place, on the track, especially early in the season when there's not a lot of well-known athletes, the big hitters, when they come out, almost every race is going to be decided by the kick at the end, the last 100 meters, 150 meters, where the athletes decide to kick and how long they can hold on to it. And after that, after the women's mile, was the men's mile. One of the first big names that we saw was Matthew Centrowitz. Of course, went to London this last year for the Olympics. Did fairly well. I think he made the finals, if I remember, in the 1500. And with Leo Manzana. Yeah. Some interesting information. Matt Centrowitz is now being coached by Alberto Salazar. Same coach. He coaches Galen Rupp and Mo Farah. Teammates. Mo Farah won the 5K. Did he win the 10K? Yeah, no, he won both of those. And Galen Rupp was silver medalist in the 10K and just finished outside of the medaling on the 5K, if I remember. It was a long time ago. Well, they ran a 1:58 for their first half mile. It's fast. They're running a mile, not a 1500, so it's kind of a strange predicament or a strange race for them to be in. They were being rabbited by Matt Shearer, great pacer. You always see him in all the Diamond League meets. Very good. Because of the slow pace, it really turned out to be more of a tactician's race, with someone who's rehearsed their strategy again and again and again, and they know exactly what they're going to do, and they know what the other athletes are going to do too. So, it took a lot of thinking. Will Lear, nice looking character. He's always been trying to get up to the highest level. He's been running the Diamond League for a few years. Excuse me. But he just hasn't been able to, to breach that top layer of distance athletes. And he's the guy with long hair and the big handlebar mustache. Kind of reminds me of Steve Prefontaine. But he, with 3 laps to go, Will Lear, he pulled up to Matt Centrowitz, and he was giving him a race, just side by side. Will Lear really wanted to take this one, but of course Centro, he held on. The bell lap, not much change. Centro still maybe a meter or two ahead. Came down to the kick, like always. Centro, of course, won it in a 3:56. Decent mile time. 1500, that'd be about 3:35, 3:37. Will Lear held on to get second place with a 3:56.95. It was super close with the race. Will Lear did a great job. I'm sure his coach was proud of him. He's done a lot of work in the offseason, you can tell. The next race was the women's 60-meter hurdles. A woman by the name of Deloche won this event with a 7.97. Early season hurdles, good time. But Deloche did not win it staggeringly. She had a lot of work. She only won by 0.02 of a second in front of a porter who is married to a men's hurdler. So we move on to this men's 60-meter hurdles. Again, Porter, the husband of this duo, he would win the race in a 7.62. He had a really funky start. He raced up really early out of the blocks. He didn't give himself enough time to get his pace down. He got out, he took a step, and then he was already up. But he gained the lead very quickly within 2 hurdles, I think. And he was great acceleration in between the hurdles. He was leaps and bounds ahead of all the other athletes out there. He won by maybe 5 meters, 10 feet maybe. It's pretty far. Next was the women's 800. Couple well-knowns here: Phoebe Wright, Erica Moore. One of the runners, last name Price, she did not look like a distance runner. She looked like she had been converted from a 400, maybe a 200 build, and she was. It looked strange to have her leading in the beginning. Erica Moore led through most of this race. At the bell lap, the competitors, they broke into 3 across, which is something a lot more common to see in indoor track meets than outdoor, just because it's not really as far, and it's you're not putting as much on yourself with gaining the extra meters. Of course, this race, again, like most of the other on-track races, came down to the kick at the end, with Phoebe Wright outkicking Erica Moore by 200ths of a second. Phoebe Wright finishing first in 2:03.96, and Erica Moore finishing in 2:03.98. Very close. I'm sure both their seasons are going to go very well. They're coached by the same man. Their coach is probably proud of them, and he's going to be glad with the season that's going to be coming up for those two. Next was the women's 2 mile. This was an interesting race. There was a Diababa from Kenya, I think she's from Kenya, versus a 16-year-old named Maria Kane, I believe. And Kane is now coached by Alberto Salazar, the coach mentioned earlier. Galen Rupp, Matt Centro now, and Mo Farah, all training out of Portland, Oregon. So Diababa was going for a new world record on the indoor 2 mile. She didn't get it. She came really close. It wasn't much of a race. Excuse me. She led the entire race, I think, except for the first lap when she was still getting her bearings. Excuse me. But after the second lap, it had already broken off into 2 different packs. The first with 4 runners and the rabbit, and of course all the other athletes in the second pack. Diababa would then go on ahead by herself, breaking off the pack from 4 to 2, and then just to running by herself after the rabbit goes. With about 1 mile to go, she had a 100-meter gap in between herself and the rest of the field. And if you don't know how far that is on an indoor track, it's literally half of the track. And she had separated herself quite a bit. With about 4 laps to go in this race, she began to pick up speed, and she was really flying. I would have been interested to see her splits on the laps. By the bell lap, she had caught up and passed a few athletes that were trailing, and she would win it in 9 minutes and 13 seconds. Now Kane, she did not do terribly. She was only 16 years old, but in her first professional race with a clear, big name in Diababa, and she finished at 9:38. And she set a new high school record by 16 seconds for indoor, and a new high school record overall in the 2 mile by 17 seconds. Kane she's gonna grow up to be a great professional athlete in track and field. In the high jump, women's high jump, they didn't showcase the men's for some reason. A woman by the name of Patterson. She went to University of Arizona. Very proud of her. She won at 6 feet, and she won on misses. Not much to say. They didn't really talk about it that much. They didn't show you anything. The final race of the day was the New Balance men's 3,000 meter. This featured Galen Rupp and a 16-year-old by the name of Geberwet from Ethiopia, I believe. Rupp started off the race. He started out pretty fast. He left the main group behind very quickly. Only Gebrewedt stayed with him. Any real contender. Rupp was passed with 6 laps to go. Gebrewedt just took him right at the start line. Galen Rupp, he failed to recognize that this was Gebrewet's push to the finish, even so far back, when with so much distance to go. And Rupp, he failed to recognize Gebrewet's strategy, and that would cost him the race ultimately. With the bell lap, Galen Rupp caught back up. He was only about 15 meters behind. He cut it down from 30, to around 12 to 15, and Gebrewedt just outkicked him at the end for the bell lap. Rupp cut it down on the bell lap at the finish to 8 meters. Excuse me. And Gebrewedt would finish at 7:32, and Rupp would finish at 7:33.67. So very close, but he just couldn't. He needs to work on his strategy. Salazar needs to maybe watch this film with him and see where he went wrong. The final event that was showcased was the women's pole vault. Jen Scher, American gold medalist. She went to the Olympics this year, of course. She did a great job. She has a surprising advantage over her fellow competitors, and the fact that she is 6 feet tall, which is very tall for a female pole vaulter. She won. She was the last woman in the competition. Far into the competition. At about 14 or 15 feet, everyone else dropped out, and so she was by herself. And she was going for an American record, which she got. Very proud of her again. And at 15.7 1/4. She's 31, so we might not be seeing too much more of her. Depends on if she stays fit, of course. And the next Olympics is 4 years away, and by then she'll be 35. So this might have been the last time we will see Jen Scher in an American jersey at the Olympic stage. Well, thank you for watching. There's another track meet on the Sunday the 17th, I believe. It will be on ESPN. Tune in and enjoy.